Corruption shows that citizens need to demand that their representatives clean up their acts. Scandinavia continues to lead the way in doing so.
Nordic countries have once again come out on top. The study shows that Danes, Finns, and Swedes are unlikely to request bribes or, for that matter, bribe anyone else. Most European Union countries actually do relatively well in the anti-corruption index. New Zealand shares first place with Denmark and Finland. Germany has improved one notch to number 13. But Greece's standing dropped 14 notches to position 94. Afghanistan, North Korea, and Somalia are considered to be the most corrupt nations in the world. The index is based on surveys of business people, members of the public both inside and outside the country, and analysts. The conclusion on Greece is that while more receipts are now being issued, politicians and officials are taking more bribes on the side as biting austerity programs continue.
I spoke to Dr. Robin Hodes. She's research head at Transparency International. I began by asking her which country had made the most progress in the last year in overcoming corruption.
Well, it's difficult to single out individual countries because what we really want to focus on is the countries that over time stay at the top of our index. Here we have the Scandinavian countries and countries like New Zealand, where the commitment to access to information, to the justice system working, to open budgeting are long-standing and where the governments really show a long-term commitment. But in the last year, we've seen countries like Nepal and Senegal and Ivory Coast move up from a very low level to higher levels, and this gives us encouragement that places like that can improve and have improved.
What about Burma? It's very low on the level. It's number 5 in the most corrupt category. What does it need to do? What's happening with Burma?
Well, countries at the bottom of the index are really challenged in terms of institutions and in terms of giving their citizens basic access to services that are corruption-free. So countries like that need to show citizens that it's safe for them to have freedom of association, to express their concerns about corruption, and above all to have trust that the institutions will work for them.
Trust in institutions certainly is very important. When we look at Europe, some of the most corrupt countries are those experiencing a lot of pain from the Eurozone crisis. Portugal is one example, Spain as well. Why is that? Is there a connection?
Well, Greece and Italy are also on that list, and year for year we find that those are the countries in the Eurozone that perform poorest in the Corruption Perception Index. In a country like Greece, for example, citizens have reported over time, in other work we've done, that they paid many more bribes per year and in terms of amount than anywhere else in Europe. In those countries, public institutions need to change. We see that. We need, above all, financial accountability to citizenry.
You mentioned Scandinavia. Denmark's at the very top of the list. Germany is in 13th place. What does it need to do to move up to a category closer to Denmark?
Well, in Germany, the world is really waiting for more attention to the UN Convention Against Corruption. That means ratification. It's really not okay that Germany has not ratified this treaty. And above all, it's important to look at some of the other activities that politicians and those in the justice system are involved in, some of these side work and activities that they do to earn money, because it's important to know about that in terms of conflicts of interest that may emerge in their public sector work.
Very much so. Okay, Robin Hodes of Transparency International, thank you so very much.
EU antitrust regulators have imposed a record €1.5 billion in fines on 6 electronics companies. They were found guilty of fixing prices on cathode ray tubes used in TVs and monitors for more than 2 decades.
That's right. Now, the biggest penalty of all went to the Dutch electronics giant Philips, which will